Hi there, this is David and welcome to the Games That Made Me. Here, we're going to be looking at some games from my childhood that pretty much molded me and formulated who I am as a gamer. Today, we're going to be looking at one of the most famous franchises in the world, and one that really sparked my love for exploration and discovery, the Legend of Zelda series. I can't really remember a time before having The Legend of Zelda. It was released here in 1987, so I must have gotten it when I was about 5 years old, living on Bowling Air Force Base in Virginia. It was so different from the other games that I had previously played, like Mario Brothers, Kung Fu, Dunk Hunt, and Balloon Fight. Back then, my parents actually played the Nintendo, so we all had to share the 3 save files. My mother and father each got their own file, while my brother and I had to share one. I think that my father got up to like level 2 or 3, then quit playing. He was really busy working 2 jobs while going to college at the same time. My mother, though, was the resident Zelda expert, getting up to level 6 before stopping. I remember asking her why she didn't play anymore, and then she said that she forced herself to stop because otherwise she wouldn't get any housework done. As an adult myself now, I completely get it. By the time that we moved to Georgia in 1989, my parents never picked up another game, so we had the NES all to ourselves. Zelda really felt like a true adventure to me, roaming around the map, burning all the bushes, bombing the walls, and finding hidden shops and fairies. I was enthralled by the non-linear exploration, because as a kid it blew my mind that I could get the blue tunic before even conquering the first level, or that I could tackle the levels in pretty much whatever order I really wanted to. So before I even really knew what RPGs were, I knew that I liked games similar to Zelda, insofar as having an overworld, text, currency, and shops. So when the sequel was announced, I was so happy. I remember seeing it at KB Toys in the mall and showing it to my mother. She didn't buy it, but later on, eating at the food court with my family, she left to go to the bathroom. But what she really did was go back to the store and buy the game. She hid it in her purse, and about an hour after we got home, she called us down to the living room and asked us to help her find the TV guide. But what we found instead was Zelda II hidden under the couch pillow. My brother and I were ecstatic, and we played it pretty often, and I tried to like it, but I'm sorry, this game did not make me. Instead, it actually taught me a lesson. Just because a game is a sequel doesn't mean that it's going to be good, nor does it mean that it's going to be similar. All it means is that I need to do my research. I really think that Zelda II began my obsession with reading Nintendo Power, making lists of good games, and collecting strategy guides. I wanted to be absolutely sure that I was going to be getting a good game, not a clunker riding on the previous game's coattails. However, when I saw that Zelda had returned to its roots with an overhead viewpoint and an overworld exploration in their only SNES outing, I was stoked. My brother and I got Zelda: A Link to the Past for Christmas in 1992, and it was a mainstay in our playing schedule. Though I will say that neither of us ever finished it, because it was pretty hard. I think that I only got to like the very beginning of the Dark World before I quit, while my brother made it all the way to the Thieves' Palace. About 10 years later in college, though, I did finish it when I made a concerted effort to beat all of those childhood games. I really liked the World of Light, but man, the World of Darkness was just so brutal that I didn't find it all that much fun. That being said, though, I still consider it to be the best Zelda game that I have ever played. 1 year later, in 1993, Zelda Link's Awakening was announced and released for the Game Boy. And I always liked getting Game Boy games, because first of all, I could play them anytime that I wanted to, and secondly, they were only $30, whereas SNES games ranged from $60 to $80 depending on the title. So that meant that I could actually afford Game Boy games, but SNES games had to wait for special occasions like birthdays, going to Grandma's house, or Christmas. I thought that the game was interesting. Not because it didn't take place in Hyrule, but because it kind of blended Mario and Link together. Nowadays, we have games like Super Smash Bros., where characters from different properties come together, but back then, there was really nothing like it. Traveling around with Link while simultaneously seeing a chain chomp or a photo of Princess Toadstool, or even going through a side-scrolling dungeon stomping on Goombas like in Super Mario Bros. Was pretty cool. The graphical style was neat as well. It showed off the system to best advantage by utilizing the tile sets of Link to the Past, and, really importantly for me, it wasn't brutally hard. While I couldn't beat Zelda II or A Link to the Past, 11-year-old me could beat this one without too much frustration. I wish that they still made 2D Zeldas, because I really simply just can't play them anymore. Call me an old fogey, I really don't care. But when my brother later on bought the N64 years later, he got Ocarina of Time, and 3D games were still very new to me. I played it for maybe an hour, and I never got past the initial Deku Tree. It was just too frustrating. I remember there was something about having to aim a slingshot into a spiderweb or something. I turned off the game in frustration. Then like a decade later, when I got the Wii, I bought all the past GameCube games that I missed out on, and one of them was Wind Waker. I got to the tutorial dungeon where you're like in a pirate's hideout or something, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't aim, I couldn't jump, I couldn't target, I couldn't do anything. And I'm sure that the controller didn't help anything either. So really, while this series did make me as a child, it's pretty much dead to me as an adult. Which is a shame because I did enjoy the games that were actually playable. This has been David. If you like what I do here on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link to it can be found in the video description. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.